Hello, welcome back. I am Dr. Lata, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bengaluru. In this session, we will learn about general characters of superclass Pisces and its classification up to classes. Now, we are all very familiar with these aquatic organisms called as fishes, and we also know how they look like, and they are available in various colors and shades because we keep them at houses in our aquariums. And very interestingly, around 40,000 species of these fishes has been identified so far, and they actually represent a very interesting group of vertebrates. So let's learn their general features and the classification. Now to start with, these fishes, they evolved in Silurian period of Paleozoic era, and their number increased in the Devonian period, and hence this period was called as golden age of fishes. So prominently they are all aquatic. Um, you don't find any terrestrial fishes being surviving, so they are completely aquatic and they are poikilothermic organisms. Now, when you look at the general characters of these fishes, when we say they are aquatic, they could be either freshwater or marine water forms, and some are herbivorous, some are carnivorous, and some lay eggs, so we call them as oviparous, and some lay eggs and then they hatch into young ones, so they are ovoviviparous also. Now these fishes, they are cold-blooded vertebrates, and hence they are called as poikilotherms. The body is divisible into three regions: the head, the trunk and the tail. So what is absent here is the neck, and the very unique character of fishes is that they have a spindle shaped body, and this shape of the body helps them in swimming. So because they have this spindle shaped body, they can cut through the water, and the main form of locomotion is swimming, right? So this shape helps in active swimming. Then they contain a pair of nostrils and a pair of eyes too. So here, whatever we discuss, this will be in general, and it holds good for both cartilaginous and bony fishes. So if you look into the superclass Pisces, it has been mainly classified into two: the cartilaginous fishes and bony fishes. They do vary in certain features, but since we are discussing only the general characters, these characters will hold good for both. And one more unique character of these fishes is that their body is covered by scales. So these scales, though we may think that all these scales are same, but it is not so. These scales are small, thin, cornified, calcareous or bony plates which fit closely together or they overlap. As regards the arrangement of scales on the fish body is concerned, they are most often imbricated and thus overlap like the tiles on the roof, with their free margins directed outwards the tail, so as to minimize the friction of water, and hence they facilitate in the smooth movement of fish in the water. Next, when you look into their ears, you don't find any tympanic cavity and the ear ossicles are absent, and so also the external and the middle ears are absent. Only internal ear is present. So this diagram clearly illustrates to you the position of the inner ear, its lobes, and how they are connected to the brain through the nerves. And respiration is with the help of gills, as they are all aquatic. Generally, you find around 4 to 7 pairs of gills used for respiration, and it is covered by operculum in few. And in addition to these, some species of fishes, they possess additional respiratory organs, which we call it as accessory respiratory organs. And these organs, the shape and the presence of these accessory respiratory organs varies from species to species. In this diagram, you can observe in few it is just in the form of a air sac. In some, it is like a branched air sac present in a cavity, and in Sacobranchus, if you observe, it is in the form of a tube-like structure, and in case of Clarius, it is highly branched tree-like structures which acts as additional respiratory organs to support the fish in terms of during the times of desiccation. Then endoskeleton, it could be either cartilage or bony. If they have a cartilaginous endoskeleton, they are classified as cartilaginous fishes. If they have bony endoskeleton, they are classified as bony fishes or osteichthyes. And when you look into the shape of the vertebrae, all the vertebrae of these fishes are amphicoelous. Amphi means both the sides. Here both the sides, the centrum is concave in nature, hence the name amphicoelous. And the skull in case of fish is monocondylic skull with only one occipital condyle. The locomotory organs are the fins in case of fishes, and fins, in addition to locomotion, they also act as body balancing organs. So you find two different kinds of fins, the paired fins and the unpaired fins. Paired fins include pelvic and the pectoral fin, whereas unpaired fins includes the dorsal and the ventral fin. Now the dorsal fin mainly helps in balance, and it helps the fish to stay upright. And caudal fin, since it is a tail fin, it helps, the wagging of the tail helps in pushing the fish forward. Whereas the pectoral fins and the pelvic fins, they help in steering, and the anal fin helps in balancing. Now you find different kinds of tail in case of fishes. The most commonly found ones are the heterocircle and the homocircle tail. Now protocircle is the one which is primitively formed when the fish is in the form of an embryo, and in case of heterocircle, as the name suggests, hetero means two different kinds of lobes. See, one is larger and the other one is smaller. So such kind of tail is called as heterocircle tail. When both the lobes of the caudal fin are equal or same length, it is called as homocircle. Homo means same. So when they have same length, it is called as homocircle. And in case of diphicircle, it's almost similar to a primitive fin, but here what happens, the notochord, it enters till the end of the tail, and diphicircle tail is not very common, and all these living fishes of the present day, they show either heterocircle or homocircle tails. Now when we talk about the digestive system, it is very well developed and it is complete because it starts from mouth and it ends in anus, and it has all the regular part of the alimentary canal like the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, stomach, and intestine, rectum and anus. It has digestive glands like the liver and the pancreas, which helps in the process of digestion. Now in the beginning we said these fishes could be either carnivorous or herbivorous. So based on their diet habits, the alimentary canal also gets modified, meaning to say, in case of herbivorous fishes, there is no proper cavity like stomach, and the intestine is larger in length, whereas in case of carnivores, the stomach is prominently formed and the length of the intestine is reduced. Nervous system consists of well-formed a brain and a spinal cord, and it shows 10 pairs of cranial nerves. And lateral line sense organs are very much well developed, which helps in the detection and maintenance of water pressure. So this diagram shows you the brain of shark, and you can see the layer of, you can see these lobes like the cerebellum, the cerebrum, and the medulla oblongata and spinal cord all being well developed, and they give up they have good sense of smell, so they have well developed olfactory lobes, which ends in an olfactory bulb, and so they are very much enabled to survive in the aquatic environment. When we look into the circulatory system, it consists of heart, which is two chambered, and it is a venous heart because it receives only impure blood, and RBCs that are present are enucleated. And this circulation is unicircuit and with the presence of both renal and hepatic portal system. The diagram explains you the process of circulation. Kidneys are mesonephric, and urinary bladder is absent. Sexes are separate. Sexual dimorphism is seen. That means you can distinguish which is a female and a male fish. And in some fishes, the pelvic fin gets modified into a copulatory organ called as claspers. Like in few fishes, even the pectoral fin gets modified into suckers, like in case of Echinus. But here in few fishes, the pelvic fins get modified into claspers, which helps in copulation. And many are oviparous, that they lay eggs, and some are viviparous, that they give rise to the young ones directly, like hippocampus. And these fishes, they are called as anamniotes because they lack the formation of this extra embryonic membrane, that is amnion, during their development. Parental care is very much predominant in these fishes. You can see like as the picture shows, some fishes, they hold the young ones in their mouth till they develop and they are hatched out. In few, they store them in their brood pouches, as you see in hippocampus, and few will have this nest building like the male stickleback fish, which care for the young ones, and some will coil around the eggs so that it is protected from all the external environment. So when we discuss about the classification, this superclass Pisces, it's mainly divided into three classes: the Placodermi, Chondrichthyes, and Osteichthyes. Placodermi is an extinct class, so they are no more surviving. So thereby there are only two classes of Pisces. One is Chondrichthyes, which is a cartilaginous fishes; Osteichthyes, which is a bony fishes. It includes all the bony fishes. Now, if you look into the main difference between these Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes, as we said, the skeleton in case of Chondrichthyes is formed of a cartilage, whereas in case of bony fishes, it is bony in nature. Gills in case of cartilage fishes, they are exposed external to the external environment, whereas in case of bony fishes, they are covered by operculum, a bony plate called operculum. And Chondrichthyes, they do not show the presence of swim bladder, whereas a swim bladder is predominantly seen in the Osteichthyes. Now, this swim bladder is a characteristic organ of bony fishes, and it is filled with a gas and hence called as pneumatic sac, or it's also called as air bladder or swim bladder. And this swim bladder, it lies dorsal to the digestive tract, beneath the vertebral column and the kidneys, but it is outside the coelom. So basically it is an outgrowth from the esophageal region to the alimentary canal, and it shows great diversity in its mode of development, structure and function in different fishes. And when you look at the tail lobes, in case of chondrichthyes, that is cartilaginous fishes, they are unequal in size, so they are heterocercal. So in case of bony fishes, they are homocercal. Whereas the process of fertilization occurs internally, the fusion of gametes takes place inside the body of a female in case of cartilaginous fishes, but it could be internal or it could be external in case of osteichthyes. So these are the basic difference between these two. Now these are the books and the uh, websites from which the content has been taken. Now here are a few questions for you to answer. A fish is characterized by the presence of, these are the options. So a fish will have fins, pharyngeal gills and dermal scales. So obviously the answer is D, all of the above. The branch of biology that deals with the study of fishes is called ichthyology. So the right option is answer C. Which one is a true fish? Jellyfish, cuttlefish, silverfish or the flying fish? The answer is the flying fish is a Piscean, whereas rest are all not. The fish famous for parental care is seahorse, Labiorhoita, Gambusia or Scoliodon. The answer is seahorse, because we know that the seahorse will keep its young ones in its pouch till it develops completely. And name the fish which shows dorsal fin modified into suckers. Neoceratodus, Hippocampus, Echinus or Torpedo. It is Echinus, so the right option is answer C. Thank you for listening. I hope you got the general characters of Pisces and its classification. Any doubts, you can revert back to me in my mail ID vlatadamodaran@gmail.com. Thank you.